Star Trek. The Next Generation gave us some of the most unforgettable characters ever put on television, and the actors behind them were just as remarkable. But too many of them are gone now. This is their story. Number 1. We have Leonard Nimoy as Spock. When Nimoy stepped onto the TNG set in 1991 for the two-part episode Unification, he was 60 years old. And the moment Spock appeared on screen alongside Picard, the entire Star Trek universe felt connected in a way it never quite had before. In his personal life, his first marriage to Sandra Zober lasted 32 years and produced 2 children before their divorce in 1987. 2 years later, he married actress Susan Bay, and the two remained completely devoted to each other until the very end. Away from acting, he was a passionate photographer, poet, and tireless advocate for arts education. A man whose depth went far beyond any role he ever played. In his final years, Nimoy publicly revealed his diagnosis and made a point of warning others about the dangers of smoking, even decades after quitting. Leonard Nimoy passed away on February 27, 2015, at the age of 83, from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, using his final public moments not for himself, but to try to save someone else. Number 2, we have Majel Barrett as Lwaxana Troi. Nobody in the entire history of Star Trek was more woven into the fabric of the franchise than Majel Barrett. As the gloriously impossible Lwaxana Troi across the full run of TNG from 1987 to 1994, and she was 55 years old when the show began, bringing a theatrical chaos to every scene that made Lwaxana one of the most joyfully watchable recurring characters the series ever produced. Her love story with Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry is one of Hollywood's most genuinely romantic. They married in a Shinto ceremony in Japan in 1969, and after his death in 1991, she became the devoted, fierce guardian of everything he had built. Beyond Lwaxana, her voice literally was the sound of the Star Trek universe across virtually every series and film the franchise ever produced. Majel Barrett passed away on December 18, 2008, at the age of 76 from leukemia. And when she left, Star Trek lost something it has never quite been able to replace. Number 3, we have Tony Todd as Kern. Most people hear that voice and immediately think of the Candyman, one of horror cinema's most genuinely iconic figures. But Worf's dishonored brother Kern, across 2 TNG episodes, gave sci-fi fans something equally unforgettable. A Klingon performance built entirely on wounded pride and barely contained fury. Todd was 35 years old during his first appearance in 1990, already developing the commanding screen presence that would define his entire career. Throughout his life, he was fiercely protective of his children Alexander and Ariana, keeping them completely away from public scrutiny in a way that speaks volumes about the man behind the performances. He was married to Fatima at the time of his passing, a private, closely held chapter he rarely discussed. Tony Todd passed away on November 6, 2024, at just 69 years old, from stomach cancer, one of the most recent and deeply felt losses this entire community has experienced, arriving just as a whole new generation had fallen in love with his work. Number 4, we have Barbara March as Lursa. The Duras sisters were among TNG's most deliciously watchable recurring villains, scheming, ruthless, and completely compelling every time they appeared. Barbara March's Lursa was the more calculating of the two, and she played that cold ambition with a theatrical grandeur that pure television training rarely produces. She was 37 years old when she first appeared in 1991, bringing decades of stage work and playwriting to a role that could easily have been one-dimensional. In her personal life, she married actor Alan Scarfe in 1979, and the two remained completely devoted to each other for 40 years, raising a daughter named Antonia together. A love story as steady as her career was bold. Barbara March passed away on August 11, 2019, at the age of 65 from cancer, leaving behind a legacy that bridged classical theater and science fiction television with a grace very few performers ever manage. Number 5, we have David Warner as Gul Madred. There are guest performances that permanently define an episode, and David Warner's Gul Madred in Chain of Command is absolutely one of them. The interrogation scenes between Madred and Picard remain some of the most powerful dramatic television Star Trek ever produced. And Warner made Madred terrifying not through cruelty alone, but through chilling intellectual certainty. He was 51 years old during filming in 1992, carrying the weight of a classical acting career that spanned Shakespeare, our Titanic, and Tron into every single frame. His personal life moved through 2 marriages, to Harriet Lindgren and then Sheila Kent, with whom he had a son named Luke, before he found lasting companionship with actress Lisa Bowerman in his later years. David Warner passed away on July 24, 2022, at the age of 81, from cancer, mourned across the entire industry as one of the most genuinely gifted actors his generation ever produced. Number 6, we have Georgia Brown as Helena Rozhenko. Helena Rozhenko only appeared in 2 episodes across 1990 and 1992. But Georgia Brown brought such quiet emotional authority to Worf's adoptive mother that those appearances stayed with viewers long after the credits rolled. But she was 56 years old during her first TNG appearance, and already carried one of the most extraordinary theatrical legacies of anyone who ever walked onto that set. She was the original Nancy in the London production of Oliver, a performance that had made her a genuine stage legend decades before Star Trek found her. In her personal life, she had been married to producer Gareth Wigan from 1974 until their divorce around 1980, and had 1 son together. Georgia Brown passed away on July 5, 1992, at just 58 years old, tragically from complications following emergency surgery while she was in London for a tribute performance, cutting short a life and career that still had so much left to give. Number 7, we have Andreas Katsulas as Tomalak. Tomalak was the Romulan commander who returned again and again throughout TNG as Picard's most persistently dangerous adversary. And Andreas Katsulas made him genuinely formidable across 5 appearances between 1989 and 1994. He was 43 years old during his first appearance, bringing a theatrical precision to the role that elevated Tomalak well beyond a standard recurring villain. Running parallel to his TNG work, he was simultaneously building what would become his most celebrated legacy, Ambassador G'Kar, on Babylon 5, a performance so emotionally layered and complex that it earned him a permanent place among the finest genre actors of his entire generation. He was survived by his second wife, Gila Nissan Katsulas, and 2 children from a previous marriage. Andreas Katsulas passed away on February 13, 2006, at just 59 years old, from lung cancer, a loss that hit the Star Trek and Babylon 5 communities simultaneously, and with equal profound grief. Number 8, we have George Murdoch as Admiral J.P. Hansen. Admiral Hansen only had 1 episode, but what an episode to be part of. The Best of Both Worlds is widely considered the greatest cliffhanger in Star Trek history, and George Murdoch was right at the center of it, playing the Starfleet admiral who underestimated the Borg and paid the price for it. He was 59 years old during filming in 1990, a deeply experienced character actor who had spent decades making authority figures feel completely believable on screen. What made his Trek connection even richer was that he had previously played God himself, literally, in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, giving him one of the more uniquely layered relationships with the franchise of anyone on this list. In his personal life, he was married to Catherine Murdoch for many years and had 1 daughter together. A quiet, grounded life far removed from the command decisions his characters were always being asked to make. George Murdoch passed away on April 30, 2012, at the age of 81, from cancer. Number 9, we have Charles Cooper as Kumpek. Kumpek was the aging, politically exhausted chancellor of the Klingon High Council, a leader whose death set an entire empire into chaos. And Charles Cooper played that heavy, world-weary authority with a gravity that made every scene feel genuinely consequential. He appeared across 2 of TNG's finest Klingon episodes in 1989 and 1990, and he was already 63 years old during filming, bringing to the role a lived-in weight that younger actors simply couldn't have manufactured. His connection to the Star Trek universe ran even deeper than TNG alone. He had previously appeared as a Klingon general in Star Trek V, making him one of the few performers to inhabit the franchise across both film and television. In his personal life, he married June Hunt in 1952, and the 2 remained completely devoted to each other for over 6 decades until his death, a partnership as loyal and enduring as anything his Klingon characters ever fought to protect. Charles Cooper passed away on November 29, 2013, at the age of 87 from lung cancer. Number 10, we have Richard Lynch as Baran. The moment Richard Lynch appeared on screen, you knew the stakes had just risen. And as the mercenary leader Baran across the 2-part episode Gambit in 1993, He brought that singular menace that had made him one of Hollywood's most recognizable villain faces across 3 decades of film and television. He was 53 years old during filming, and the scarring that gave his face such a distinctive, unsettling quality had a story behind it that Lynch was remarkably open about throughout his life. In 1967, he set himself on fire while under the influence of LSD, an event that left permanent physical marks, but which he spent decades discussing publicly as a cautionary tale, turning one of his darkest moments into something that might help someone else. In his personal life, he was first married to Beatrix Lynch and had 1 son before marrying Lily Lynch in 1981, a relationship that held steady until the very end. Our Richard Lynch passed away on June 19, 2012, at the age of 72 from a heart attack, the only member of this entire list whose passing came not from cancer or long illness, but suddenly and without warning. Number 11, we have Malachi Throne as Senator Pardek. Senator Pardek appeared in the same unification 2-parter that brought Leonard Nimoy's Spock to TNG, and Malachi Throne played the duplicitous Romulan senator with a smooth, carefully concealed menace that made him the perfect political villain. He was 62 years old during filming in 1991, but his connection to Star Trek stretched all the way back to the very beginning. He had provided the voice for the Keeper in the original series pilot The Cage decades earlier, making his TNG appearance a quiet full-circle moment that longtime fans deeply appreciated. In his personal life, he was married to Judith Marians from 1965 until 1992, with whom he had 2 sons, before marrying Marjorie Bernstein that same year and remaining with her until his death. Malachi Throne passed away on March 13, 2013, at the age of 84 from lung cancer, taking with him a voice that had been part of Star Trek longer than almost anyone else on this entire list. Number 12, we have Stephen Hawking as himself. No entry on this list is quite like this one. In 1993, the greatest scientific mind of his generation sat down at a poker table with holographic versions of Einstein, Newton, and Data, and played himself with a dry, perfectly timed wit that stopped the entire episode cold in the best possible way. Hawking was 51 years old during filming, and he was reportedly so delighted by the TNG set that he asked to be shown the warp core, making him the only guest in the show's history to request a personal tour of the engine room specifically. In his personal life, he was married to Jane Wilde from 1965 to 1995, and the two had 3 children together before their marriage ended after decades of extraordinary shared struggle. His second marriage to Elaine Mason in 1995 brought public controversy, allegations of mistreatment that he consistently denied and that were never formally substantiated. Before that marriage also ended in divorce in 2006. Stephen Hawking passed away on March 14, 2018, at the age of 76 from motor neurone disease, the condition he had lived with and defied for over 50 years, long outlasting every medical prediction made about him. Number 13, we have Patty Yasutake as Nurse Alyssa Ogawa. Nurse Ogawa was the kind of recurring character that great ensemble television depends on entirely. Always present, always reliable, always adding texture to scenes that would have felt emptier without her. Patty Yasutake appeared across recurring episodes from 1990 all the way to the series finale in 1994, and she was 37 years old when she first stepped into sickbay, bringing a warmth and quiet professionalism to Ogawa that made the character genuinely beloved across the show's entire run. Long before TNG found her, she had built serious theatrical credentials with the East-West Players Company and earned an Independent Spirit Award nomination that marked her out as a performer of real substance. Her personal life was kept entirely private throughout her career. No documented relationships, no public record of any kind beyond the work itself. Patty Yasutake passed away on August 5, 2024, at the age of 70 from T-cell lymphoma, the most recent loss on this list, and one that reminded the Star Trek community just how many familiar faces they have said goodbye to in recent years. Number 14, we have Pamela Kosh as Judge Jessel. There is something quietly poetic about closing this list with Pamela Kosh, because Judge Jessel appeared in the very last episode of The Next Generation ever made. All Good Things brought the entire series to a close in 1994, and Kosh was 65 years old when she played her small but memorable part in that finale. You one final face in one final chapter of a story that had defined television science fiction for 7 years. Her career stretched across decades of reliable, respected character work, the kind of performer producers called because she made everything around her better without ever demanding more than her share of the screen. In her personal life, she married director and DGA member Walter Lamont Gilmore in 1969, and the two remained completely inseparable for 53 years until her death. A love story that outlasted the show, the century, and almost everything else. Pamela Kosh passed away on May 4th, 2022, at the age of 93, from lung and larynx cancer, the last survivor of this list to leave us. And in many ways, the perfect final note for a story about people who gave everything they had to a universe that millions of fans will never stop loving.